One of the biggest challenges in medical practices is patients come to you too late. If they came to you earlier, it'd probably be better for everybody. So understanding what do patients believe about their disease state, what does that look like as they go through your practice, and what is the entire system from the patient believing they have something that they're ready to have fixed all the way through you being able to collect on treatment, and then the entire team aspect as it relates to the practice. Welcome to the Physician Growth Accelerator, a show where we break down your private medical practice systems into vitals, give you the tools to diagnose root cause of what may be restricting your growth, and prescribe what to do about it. I'm your host, Zed Williamson, and I believe that everything we experience in our personal and professional lives, they are all the perfect outcomes of our current system. Doesn't mean we have to like the outcome, but it is the perfect outcome of our current system. And it's always been a focus of mine in these episodes to try to give little tools to help you identify the root cause of what's keeping you from achieving what you want to achieve. How to pull apart your system so that you can really own the outcome and create it on purpose. Now, this episode is actually the 100th Physician Growth Accelerator episode. It's kind of interesting just because you get to these big numbers, and so I guess sometimes it feels like it should mean something more than the 99th and the 101th, whatever. But it is just a reminder of how much opportunity there is to break down our systems and apply the things that we learn in our lives. I have two boys. One is 21. He's currently in college. I have a 17-year-old who's starting his senior year in high school. And as a parent, I think one of the most just automatic things that hits my mind is there is some wisdom that I wish that they would just grab hold of and use, because you know how much easier it would make their life. And there's some times where they just have to feel the grind. They have to figure it out and go through the pain so that they care about having that wisdom. Otherwise, raising kids would be super easy. You'd say, hey, follow these guidelines, and maybe you figure out some of your own, and then their lives would be easy. That's not how it works. They have to run into challenges. They have to take their parents' ideas and say, yeah, right, that sounds horrible. Do something different. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But I say that because this is the 100th episode. That means 99 episodes before this, we have taken one part of a practice, whether it's the mindset of a team, structure, driving in new patients, so many different aspects. And we've talked about ways to do something with it. And you might have been listening to this podcast. Maybe this is your first episode. Maybe you've listened for a while. But what does your practice feel like? If it still feels like something that you don't really want, meaning you're not super fired up that it's Monday morning, or meaning there's still these goofy issues that you deal with, and it just feels kind of dumb. Like, why do we deal with this problem over and over again? Or if there's just something not clicking, you're not hitting the goal that you really want to hit. Why does that happen? Well, our brain is pretty designed for survival, and it assumes that we are in more danger than we are, and it applies those survival techniques to our own behavior change. And sometimes we can get in a point where we're in a struggle, we feel like we're doing something about it, but we're really not putting pure traction to the road. It's more of a thought or an afterthought. It's easy to start doing, but then stop doing. And it's just human behavior. You can say, well, we need discipline to take things and put them into action. But in reality, discipline doesn't actually exist. Are you a private practice leader dealing with team drama, growth headaches, or just trying to keep your head above water? Introducing the Physician Growth Accelerator membership, a free resource for our podcast listeners like you. to get real solutions. Inside, you'll find exclusive materials, free courses, bonus podcast content, and live events, all designed to help your practice grow. It's free for now, so don't wait. Visit physiciangrowthaccelerator.com and click members to join today. Discipline is just another word for you believe in it, meaning you might see someone else in the world and their behavior may seem disciplined because it's not something you do, but in reality, they just believe something different about those activities than you do. If you believed the same thing as them, you would be acting as them and you would be seen as disciplined by someone else. Not sure if that picture was painted very clearly or not. But imagine if you could go back in time and upload every single episode of the Physician Growth Accelerator to your brain so that you have all of that knowledge in one place and you're able to tackle the things that are going on in your practice from that perspective, the root cause perspective. And I say root cause because so many things we deal with in business and in personal life is we are witnessing a symptom. And one of the reasons it feels like we are constantly fixing similar issues, or we're just, we're swatting at flies or playing whack-a-mole, however you want to paint the picture, is because we're dealing with something that surfaces up, but we didn't deal with the thing that created that root cause. But imagine, you get all these episodes, you have them uploaded, and then you're able to immediately implement into your practice. Well, that's what the Physician Growth Accelerator does. The Physician Growth Accelerator starts by diagnosing the entire practice as a whole. This is related to every number that can be measured. It's related to the team, what the team believes, what leadership believes, is their leadership. Every aspect of the patient journey, from before a patient even knows they have an issue. One of the biggest challenges in medical practices is patients come to you too late. If they came to you earlier, it'd probably be better for everybody. So understanding what do patients believe about their disease state, what does that look like as they go through your practice, and what is the entire system from the patient believing they have something that they're ready to have fixed all the way through you being able to collect on treatment, and then the entire team aspect as it relates to the practice. And some of the challenges is you could feel like you have a problem and the frustration is with the technology. So you say, well, if only I had a better fill-in-the-blank technology, then it would be better. And then you pay for that technology, and it feels good, exciting, new, and then a couple weeks later, there's not really anything better. Or maybe you relate it to a person. If we just had one more MA, or if we just had one more front desk person, or if we had another provider. And it's all those if statements that our brain tries to trick us on, where if we had this, then it would be good. And that's not really how it works. And the reason is because we're just treating symptoms. So the reason that the Physician Growth Accelerator does this very exhaustive diagnostic is it's to understand every symptom. The diagnostic does not uncover root cause. The root cause is going to be uncovered through the work that the Physician Growth Accelerator does with the practice after the diagnostic. But the diagnostic gives us all of the leading indicators, all of the lag indicators, every measurement within the practice so that we understand what's off. And now we can go dig and see what is the root cause of these things, and let's address it there. And what you will find is, let's say there's 10 items that are frustrating you about your practice. It is highly likely that the majority of them are attributed to a single root cause. And that's what's fun. Imagine a patient coming in and they've got symptoms out the wazoo, and they've been treating symptoms with all these different things, and you could just go to one thing and you say, well, actually, if we do this, then all of your symptoms go away. Patient's pretty excited. That's the same thing with the approach to the Physician Growth Accelerator. And if you imagine, so it is September 2025, and if you could go back in time, just, go back in time to April, and if you had started implementing, diving into the root cause of what's creating the symptoms you don't like, would you be in a different spot today than the path that you currently took. And if you decide that today, would that put you in a different spot, let's say 30 weeks from now? So there's value in understanding that you are getting information, and if you're implementing it and it's rocking and rolling, I love that. That is some of the best feedback that I get is when people reach out after episodes and it really connected. They thought to themselves like, gosh, I kind of knew this idea, but you put words to it, and now I've taken those words and I've done something and I've witnessed the outcome, and that feels amazing. But sometimes you just need a little help to get that traction to the road. And if that's you, definitely reach out to the Physician Growth Accelerator. Find out what it would be like to work with us, get a full diagnostic, see what an example diagnostic may look like for you, and then what that would look like to achieve a very specific goal. Imagine saying today that you want to walk out of 2026 with this specific thing achieved, and then seeing the pieces built to actually make that happen. So if that's nudging you in any way, please feel free. Reach out to Physician Growth Accelerator. You can go to physiciangrowthaccelerator.com. There's so many resources there, but it may just be time to take action, and you can schedule a meeting. And with that, thanks for 100 episodes of the Physician Growth Accelerator, and we'll see you next week.